There we go. After many months, ladies and gentlemen, we're back with another episode today. We're going to look at the offseason. So, been a while, obviously. Our last episode, I think, was before the season ended. I don't know if we did anything after that. It's been busy. Finally, we got time to sit down and chat a little bit about the Minnesota Vikings. So, disappointing end to the season. Started so well, and then they just kind of crap themselves, and yeah, that was that. But now we're looking at the off season, and maybe this is a radical thing to say, but I personally sometimes find the off season more fun than the season. Sometimes, unless your team's on like a run and it's really fun, that's always cool. Like this past season, but to me, there's times free agency, the draft, more enjoyable than the actual season. All the possibilities and speculation is what makes it such a joy, I think. But with that said, we are getting into the latest Vikings news, everything offseason related, since it's been a while since the last episode. So kicking it off, we start with the report from last night that broke from Darnold or from Rappaport and Schefter and all those guys. They've said that the Minnesota Vikings are unlikely to use the franchise tag on Sam Darnold, and it appears he'll be hitting free agency, which I think is next week already.
Yep.
So the deadline is today at 3 p.m. for the franchise tag. For anyone that's unfamiliar, the franchise tag is they take the top 5 average annual value for each position, combine them, divide it by 5. So it's the average of the top 5 is the tag. So for quarterback, it was 40-something million, I bet. And the Vikings opted not to use it. They could have used it, brought him back. They could have used it as leverage to trade him, which I'm sure we'll get into as well. Or they could have just chosen to say no and let him hit free agency. And it appears that's the route we're going to take. So we're going to go through all that right now. Did they make the right move? Did they make the wrong move? All that kind of stuff. So I'll kick us off, I guess. And I think that at the end of the day, maybe this is the right move. It's hard to say how much of a market there was for him, especially after those last couple games where he really imploded on the field, one could say. And the value of a franchise tag is a team can trade for him, and then instead of having to bid with all the other teams, it's on their terms then with the player. So instead of it becoming just a money war, it's one-on-one instead of it being 1-on-4 or 5, however many teams there are involved. So it seems like the market wasn't as good as they thought, which kind of makes sense. Top 5 is a lot of money, 40-something million. Is Darnold really worth that much? My opinion, probably not. Had a marvelous season, did a lot for the team, but isn't worth that money to me. But I will say, good move on the Vikings because I'm sure they looked into this or else it would have never been a discussion. So they did their job. They did their due diligence. Turned out there wasn't a market. And at the end of the day, I can't fault them for that because that's not their fault. That's on other teams just simply noticing that they weren't willing to make that kind of a sacrifice for Darnold.
Yeah. I totally in agreement with you. Obviously, the other part of this is the Vikings are more than likely going to get a 3rd-round comp pick for Darnold. So you'd have to be finding a team that's willing to play ball and probably give you higher than like a 3rd-round pick and then another pick or a 2nd-round pick, 1st-round pick. People were trying to say how they could trade him for multiple firsts. I don't think that's a possibility. Maybe a player. I don't think that's a possibility. The other thing is teams like to structure contracts differently, and having that 1 year $40 million, even if you do extend him. Some teams like to backload contracts. I know the Vikings are one. Rob Brzezinski does a good job of structuring contracts like that. So you look at, team wants to fully dictate the terms of Darnold's new deal. And it sounds like the Vikings are still kind of in contract discussions with him. I assume he's probably going to get an offer from the Vikings. That doesn't mean it's going to be like a serious offer or one that's like even close to what he'll get in free agency. So, I've been on the Darnold walks train, all season. Even after like the Packers game when everyone was pounding the table for an extension, I was still on the train of like, we're not bringing this guy back and he's probably going to be gone. So had the season ended a little differently, maybe this conversation's a little different, but I think as of right now, unless Darnold's willing to take a hometown, super friendly deal, which I doubt happens because honestly, he deserves to go be a free agent. He deserves to get his money, get some financial security, get that 3-4 year deal, and just hopefully, do the same thing to another team. I know I personally will be a Sam Darnold fan wherever he goes.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, like you were saying, it seems like right now the ball is in the Vikings' court. If they want him back, they can lowball him, and who cares? That's on Darnold's team whether they want to agree to that or not. That's what they did last year with Kirk Cousins. They made him an offer. I don't remember the exact terms, but it was a pretty cheap deal because they seemed pretty set on moving on. And yeah, then that was the end of it. And then the Falcons went absurd and gave him that 4-year deal. Like you were saying, I think that's the same thing that they're probably going to do here is they're going to offer him a low deal. He can take it if he wants. Ultimately, he's probably going to end up getting more money somewhere else, which if you were him or his team, it would be way smarter to do that. Well, I don't know about smarter as a player, but as a selfish football player wanting money, it is the smarter thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably what's going to end up happening. But it's not like a team can just say, yeah, we don't want him back, because that also degrades the value and makes your team look bad.
Mm-hmm.
This is the same thing that happened with Kirk Cousins last year. We saw reports left and right that the Vikings are interested in bringing Kirk Cousins back. Okay, they are, but at what terms? And that's really the key. And it seems like that's going to be the exact same thing that we're going to see again here. I was saying before the show that his next team, I found the odds on bookies.com, whether you want to buy into that or not. The Vikings are still the highest probable team at plus 300, giving them 25% odds at retaining him. Following that is the Raiders, Steelers, Giants, Jets, and then a handful of other teams. And with this, if it was Rick Spielman in office still, I could definitely see Sam Darnold returning. But with Kwesi, the new sheriff in town, I just don't see any way. He's smart enough to not do something like that. They see JJ McCarthy. Why does everyone like JJ McCarthy? He's been a good player before, but also because of his rookie contract. That's the value of having a rookie scale player. They don't want to just throw it away like that, because we've seen teams do that and it not work out. And that's kind of what the Packers are doing. Nothing against Jordan Love. He's a great player. So nothing against him as a player, but they threw away 3 years of his 4-year rookie deal. And just like that, they're paying him top of the market right now when they could have got that production a couple years ago for far less money. So the Vikings they're a lot smarter about that kind of a thing now. And that's something I'll definitely applaud them for.
Yep. All about value. I mean, this was also, JJ McCarthy was also handpicked by Kevin O'Connell to be his guy to come in here and be that long-term option. So, I mean, no matter what happens, and even if Darnold is back, I mean, the long-term plan still is JJ McCarthy. And, if Darnold walks, there'll probably be a bridge guy come in. Maybe it's Daniel Jones. Maybe it's another guy just to make JJ McCarthy beat him out in camp. But, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens next week. See how long it takes before Darnold's off the board. He'll likely have a few suitors. There are more teams that need quarterbacks than quarterbacks available. Looking at free agency, looking at the draft, we only got a couple guys in the draft this year, unlike last year where there was a plethora of guys available. Not the case this year. So he'll certainly have a few teams probably on his radar interested in going for him. So we'll see how it plays out. With that said, this wasn't originally in the rundown, but I'm just going to look at some of the other free agents the Vikings have. Who are some notable players? Could they come back? So these are kind of notable players. Aaron Jones is one of them. I've seen some of the Vikings aggregators, if you ever see them on Twitter, some of those like fan accounts and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen reports saying that the Vikings are interested in bringing him back in a similar contract to last year. I don't know if those are from real sources or not, but I personally, I wouldn't mind it if they got a rookie or some other running back in the room as well. They can't just run it back like they did last year because we saw it fail. Why would we do the same failing strategy again? So, but for a cheap contract, I wouldn't mind Aaron Jones, just not the exact same room as last year. Maybe more of a 1-2 punch or a 1A 1B than it was last year.
Yeah, with Aaron Jones, I mean, 1 year, 4 to 6 million is probably what he's looking at, and that's something I'd be willing to do. This draft, the third, that third round pick the Vikings have is a really intriguing option for running back. I think this is a pretty deep running back class. I actually don't think there's a ton of like super like home run running backs, but this is a deep class, and there are definitely some dudes that are going to be NFL starters. There's some dudes I like. We can get into that in a different episode, but getting that Aaron Jones I like the Vikings taking a running back in the third round. That's what I would do if I was in the GM chair right now. But yeah, that's the route I'd go at least.
Yeah, I'm with you because right now under contract, the Vikings only have Ty Chandler and Xavier Scott, who's a practice squad guy last year that no one has heard of. Exactly. They have a fair amount of free agent running backs, Aaron Jones, of course, and then Cam Akers as well. So both of their 1 and 2, both are about to hit the market next week. Also, a couple other notable players, literally everyone in the cornerback room, Byron Murphy Jr., Shaquille Griffin, Stephon Gilmore, all are pending free agents or pending retirement, whatever.
Yeah.
Murphy had a career season. This was his second or third season with the team. Try to remember now. I think second, but don't really remember. Well, this year he had a breakout year, and he was good. He was good his first season or two. Don't remember if he was here for 2 or 3 to this point, but he really broke out. Actually, I'll start with this. In our group chat, Sam Z was pretty adamant about franchise tagging Byron Murphy Jr. If it was up to you, would you have done that, or would you let it play out however it is about to?
So cornerback deals are interesting. A lot of these guys that come back on long-term, on big money deals at corner end up not working out, which I thought was very interesting. It happened with J.C. Jackson. There's a few other guys that it's happened to. And obviously there's exceptions like Pat Surtain, who is a phenomenal corner. So guys like that, obviously if the Vikings do give him an extension and a long-term deal, that means they believe in him and they believe he can replicate the success he had this year. So as to the franchise tag, I mean, I think, in my opinion, I think a lot of times the franchise tag is just like a last resort type deal. So if the Vikings, I think the Vikings, I mean, I'd be fine with a 2-3 year extension on him. It sounds like he's going to get anywhere from 17 to 20 million. So it'd be interesting to see how that deal gets structured, but I'd love to have him back. There's some intriguing names in free agency for sure. There's some intriguing names in the draft as well if the Vikings do want to go in that direction. So, I mean, I would love to have Murphy back, but I mean, if it ends up going in a different direction, I'm sure this franchise will have a plan, and there's definitely viable options if you do lose Byron Murphy.
Yeah, and I totally just blanked on what I was going to say right there. Yeah, franchise tag obviously was an option, but doesn't seem like it anymore. I have a tough time personally doing that. I like him as a player. This season he was great. Bringing him back would be excellent, but I have a hard time going that much money for a player that had one pop-up great season like that. He's been good, but this is his first time being great, and to me, that's not enough to reward him with something like that. But again, like you were saying, if they could get him on a 2 or 3 year deal for not quite that much, that would be excellent. It's just hard to tell what the market will dictate, and maybe other teams will bite higher since his most recent season is his best season. Also, Shaquille Griffin, kind of a meh player. Had some ups, had some downs, coming a free agent. And then Stephon Gilmore, who is contemplating retirement. I personally actually would not mind bringing Gilmore back if he wanted to play again. I thought he did a pretty good job this season. He got brought in like right before the season started.
Yeah.
They plopped him in as a starter, and I thought he did pretty well. Ball wasn't thrown his way a lot because they didn't want to, because he was doing a good job. So
Yeah.
I would not mind bringing him back. That's just my personal opinion. I know a lot of other people aren't necessarily into that idea, but I wouldn't mind it myself.
Yeah, I mean, as a veteran guy, maybe. I mean, I think it was pretty clear this season he lost a step, and he was able to hold his own. He's a very smart player, and he kind of gels well with this Flores defense. Obviously, he knows Brian really well. In my opinion, I think I'd let him walk. Maybe if he wants to come back on a vet minimum deal, just to be an older guy in that locker room, I guess that's fine with me. But I mean, the Vikings have done this whole patchwork cornerback room thing where you have guys on 1-year deals pretty much since Xavier Rhodes left. And, it's at the point where I'm kind of ready to get some guys in on 2 to 3 year deals and try to kind of solidify a corner room. Obviously, Mekhi Blackman is a step in the right direction for that. And, who knows what he's going to be. He had a pretty good rookie season. This season obviously was lost, which sucks, but he should be back. Looking at the draft or younger free agents at the corner position and guys that can fit well in the system, I'd love to see a couple guys on 2-3 year deals, at least 2, just to kind of solidify that corner room for a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. And with that, the other final notable player is Cam Bynum, the safety for the Vikings. Coming off his rookie deal, he's played pretty well in his past 2 years. He's probably going to get some pretty big market value coming up here. My personal opinion, if you could get him for a discount, that would be great. But at the same time, I would also be okay with him moving on. He's a very good player, but we've also heard a lot of good things about Theo Jackson, and then, of course, Josh Metellus, and if Harrison Smith returns. This is also assuming Harrison Smith returns as well, and all that. I think they have a pretty deep safety room anyway, so he's not the biggest of my concerns, but that's just me. And I do think, personal opinion, Harrison Smith will return. If Brian Flores is back, I think he loves playing for him. I think he loves the system. I think he'll play this year, but that's just my opinion on that.
Yeah, at the end of the season on Harrison Smith, I thought he was for sure retiring, but I mean, it's starting to sound more and more like he's going to be coming back. So that's interesting. I would love Cam Bynum back. I think he's a fun guy to have in the locker room. I think he's a solid player on the defense. He does a great job. His ball skills are great. And I would love him back. But again, the Vikings will probably have a price and they'll draw a line in the sand if they have to. And Bynum would definitely get attention elsewhere. He's coming off his rookie deal. So
for sure. Well, that pretty much runs through the Vikings list of free agents, but we can also look at different positions the Vikings could be looking in. Or maybe, well, we can look at that and the draft almost at the same time, kind of. So as we look around this team, we saw in the last couple of games, there's some holes to fill for sure. And both of them, the biggest holes are the lines, specifically the interiors. We saw them get walloped by the Rams in the playoffs, and we also saw the defensive line also have a tough time as well. So with that said, the Vikings were at the Combine, had a handful of prospect interviews, and they were looking at some defensive tackles, specifically the one that stood out, because I watched him a little bit during the Combine. I'm not a big prospect guy, but I was watching the Combine a little bit. I don't know if you know anything about Derek Harmon. He seemed pretty athletic. Seemed like a pretty good player, and I know the Vikings interviewed him. They've had interest in him. That's just one guy, but on my list I have here, they ended up interviewing 4 defensive tackles. At least that's the amount of just reports I saw, tried keeping up with it. So it seems like that's for sure going to be a position of need, and that's definitely something I think they'll address in the draft more than free agency. I think that the offensive line is something they could look more for in free agency, even with Trey Smith off the market in Kansas City. There's still a few great players that are available as free agents. Could see them looking for free agent offensive guard, center, whatever they would like. So Yeah.
I mean, I think I also like the Vikings going defensive line early in the draft. I think that's, if I had to predict what they're going to do, that's probably what I would predict right now. Derek Harmon's an interesting name there. Tyleik Williams out of Ohio State's another guy that I do kind of like. So we'll see. We'll see on that. But yeah, I think the Vikings will probably bring in a starting guard. I don't think they're going to go super heavy into the offensive line because honestly, they never do. I think Garrett Bradbury will be back. I think Garrett Bradbury is honestly fine. I think people read too much into Garrett Bradbury and, call for his head every offseason. And, he's still going to be back and he has 1 year left on his deal. So I think he'll play out his contract in Minnesota. And then I think we'll actually have a serious discussion about Bradbury next year when his contract is up. As I'm at guard, I think bringing in a starting caliber guard, maybe a second one, swing tackle is going to be your swing backup tackle is going to be another kind of under the radar need for this team. Obviously, trading for Darrisaw is going to probably miss the first week or two. They traded for Cam Robinson. Cam Robinson was all right. Filling Darrisaw's role, finding him midseason was a solid get. But that's going to be another key need. So I'd probably think they're going to bring in 3 to 4 guys on that offensive line, starters, backups, you name it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And just looking here at the list of top free agent offensive linemen, it's actually a pretty deep list of free agent offensive linemen this year. The number one was Trey Smith. He ended up getting the franchise tag placed on him by the Chiefs, and they're working on a long-term deal. So it doesn't look like he is going anywhere. Following that, I'm going to skip the tackles because they're not really prevalent for the Vikings here. Cam Robinson is listed as the number 3 offensive lineman that's available, which is kind of funny because he was great with Jacksonville, but then with the Vikings couldn't really fill that spot. So it's just kind of funny seeing him. Drew Dahlman is number 4. The Falcons center, Will Fries, is 5. And that's kind of the end of the top 5 of the. We'll see. The Vikings definitely have money. They currently have about $63 million in cap space as of right now. So they've got plenty of money if they want to go after a high caliber player, whether it's on the defensive line, offensive line, at least one.
Yeah, the Vikings are going to have a very active the Vikings are going to have a very active free agency. So
for sure.
Get excited for that because that's going to be fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a good time. I remember last year when they signed Grenard and Van Ginkel, Cashman, all on the first day, and I was like, yes, this is awesome. And I remember 2 years ago, their first signing was Johnny Munt. And I was like, bro, what are we doing here, guys?
Forgot about that.
Johnny Munt. So, yeah, we'll just have to see what positions they target. And yeah, that's kind of that. Also, random side street. Hopefully the combine ends up in Minneapolis in a few years. I could definitely see it happen. Indianapolis is a great spot because it's central to everything. But is it boring because it's the same place every year? I feel like this is a spot the NFL's all about money. They could get more money if they moved it around more. This is just a random thing I've thought about before.
Yeah, I don't know if have they even talked about moving the combine? I have no idea.
I feel like for the past few years they've been talking about it, but it just hasn't happened. Yeah. It's for sure signed or whatever. It's in Indy next year, but beyond that is unknown. Yeah. I don't know. That seems like one spot they could make more money.
Yeah, Minnesota would be a great spot. Great spot to have it. Obviously, great atmosphere, great area. Obviously, the stadium's super nice, so you get your kind of scenic. It's kind of scenic inside that stadium. Obviously, you got plenty of room, plenty of hotels in the city to put all those executives up into.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It'd be great to also see the draft get held in Minneapolis. That would be really fun. And Green Bay's getting it this year, and they're a teeny market. Yeah. Minnesota could definitely hold. Yeah. They held a Super Bowl here. They can hold a draft for sure. And it would be great for the city, great for the state.
Yeah, I would guess there'll be a draft in Minnesota within the next decade at least.
Good. That'd be a lot of fun to see something like that. So, trying to think, what else is there? What is next? These we're gonna look up the NFL offseason schedule, kind of go through it. What's next for everyone to keep in mind? So we are at March 4th today. 3 p.m. is the deadline for franchise tagging. And then the legal tampering period, which is the unofficial beginning of free agency, which pretty much is the beginning of free agency.
Yeah.
The tampering period is the combine. Free agency is the tampering period.
Yeah.
That starts on March 10th, which is next week, Monday, beginning at 11 a.m. Central Time. And then the league year officially begins on the Wednesday. So next week, Wednesday, March 12th. I believe it's always 3 p.m. every year, Central Time. As we look forward more, the annual league meetings are March 30th through April 2nd. So that's where we'll see some rule changes, all that stuff happen. You think they're going to replace the onside kick with the 4th and 10, 15, 20, whatever?
I have no idea. I'll let them decide that, and then I'll read what it says and react to it.
I used to be anti that notion because I was like, a team is down by how many points? That's your own fault for being down by that many points and having to kick an onside kick. But now I think over the past year or two, I've started to change a little bit. The NFL wants action. That would give them action.
Yeah.
And make it more entertaining.
I think 4th and 15 is a little short. I think they should make it like 4th and 20 or something like that.
Yeah, that would be fair for sure.
But I mean, I don't know. I think that'd be cool.
I'm pretty sure the UFL is trying that out.
Yeah, they have a rule like they have a bunch of rules like that. They have they make most penalties reviewable, which is another thing that you could maybe get into. But yeah.
All right, I'm looking at they got some different rules. They just came out this morning with their rule change list. So we're gonna look at that. Kickoffs are now starting from the 30-yard line after being at the 20. That means they kick the ball off from there. Yeah. In the NFL, they kick it off at 35, don't they? That's way farther back. I'll just kind of keep going to the notable spots. Okay, the onside kick. The UFL has eliminated the onside kick. The kickoff team can retain possession of the ball with a 4th and 12 scrimmage play from their own 28.
4th and 12?
12 does not seem like long enough, but
I guess
we're going to find out.
It's from your own 28, so even if you get the first down, you still got to drive.
Yeah, that's true.
60-some yards, 70 yards.
We're going to keep looking. It says, following a touchdown, I know they've done this in the past. Following a touchdown, teams have 3 scrimmage options to go for 1, 2, or 3 points. A 2-yard line. From the 2-yard line, you get 1 point for successful try. So that's like the equivalent of a 2-point conversion from the 2-yard line, except it's worth 1 point. The 5-yard line is worth 2 points, or the 10-yard line is worth 3 points. It also says overtime consists of alternating attempts to score from the opponent's 5-yard line. That doesn't seem like that much room. With no kicks allowed. It's a best of 3 format. A double forward pass on one play from behind the line of scrimmage is legal.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Okay. So they can throw the ball forward, but it can't go over the line of scrimmage.
They can throw forward twice, yes.
Yeah.
It can't go past the line of scrimmage.
The first time it can't go over the line of scrimmage, it sounds like. That's pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's pretty interesting. I know the NFL has also talked about changing the overtime format so the overtime playoff format, they've talked about taking that and making it the regular season format. In my opinion, that would be better.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Yeah, I agree.
It's all about, you want everyone to have a fair opportunity, and what they have in the playoffs right now is the most fair thing. Yes. Giving both teams an opportunity no matter what.
Yes.
And
basically,
do that.
They're basically just letting them play football is what they're doing, which is nice.
So that's kind of that. And so the NFL draft, by the way, for folks, is April 24th through 26th in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Honestly, there'll probably still be snow on the ground. Just kidding. Yeah. Could be, though.
Wouldn't put it past Green Bay.
Yeah, there could be. So that's kind of that. Let me think. What else? Is there anything else notable in the football world that's going on? The Vikings, or the Cowboys, excuse me, they franchise tagged their one defensive tackle that I'm not even going to try and pronounce the guy's name.
Oso Digizua.
Yeah, that guy. Well, they worked out a long-term deal with him during this episode, so
yeah,
that's the latest news on that.
Well, we got a trade.
We do.
The Rams are in the process of sending offensive lineman Jonah Jackson to the Bears for a 6th-round pick.
Wow.
So
how does this
Jackson
affect
coming in
LeBron's legacy? Everybody, this is groundbreaking Super Bowl winning moves right here. 6th-round pick offensive lineman. So, well, they're doing more work on the offensive line than the Vikings are doing. So, I guess give Ryan Poles some credit for that.
But, yep. He finally is addressing the offensive line.
Yeah. So
interior offensive line, which I don't know if any Bears fans listen, but they're been pounding the table for that. So
yeah. Well, I suppose unless you got anything else major in the sports world, feels like there isn't really a whole lot right now. By next week, there will be a lot. But right now, kind of covered pretty much what there is. Unless you got anything else, we can probably start moving into predictions and the final game pick standings.
Yeah, that works.
All right. We will do that. So, predictions are right there. Actually, we're going to start with game picks. We're just going to go through the final of that. There we go. So, everyone, there we go. You can see the screen. That's our game picks, everybody. Throughout the season, we pick games. And finally, the season has come to a close, but we haven't had an episode since then. So we'll go to the bottom, look at the playoffs. That was that. Boom. So there's the end of that. In conclusion, I ended up winning with a significantly higher number than our winner last year. So I don't know if we just had more ball knowledge this year or how that happened, but I finished with 70.53%. Following me was Matt he got exactly 1/3 of the games at 66.6%, followed by Sam Z, it looks like. We also did enforce for the first time this year the rule where if a person doesn't put their game picks in, it's red automatically.
Yeah.
Instead of being a no count, because it could be a loophole if it was used the wrong way. Mm-hmm. We enforced that, and turned out we had some victims of that. So wasn't the most competitive. Hopefully next year it will not be the case. And yeah.
Yes.
And yeah. So in May, the new schedule comes out. This will be replaced with all the new games, and that'll be fun. So I took home the crown for the second season after Sam Z won it for the first season. Now, we got predictions. We also ended that. Didn't have any episodes to really remind people that it was ending. It's the week after the Super Bowl is the conclusion of the seasons, or else numbers would get too high, and it's just kind of complicated and run on. So the end of our second season, I don't really got to go through these, but I said a couple of the non-game related ones. I said the Vikings would go undefeated in alternate uniforms. They ended up going 2-0. I also said the Bears would hire a coach with a defensive background because they're goons, and they actually ended up not doing that for once. Handful of other ones. Thought J.J. McCarthy would blow the Yaller horn at a game. Did not end up happening. Would have been epic, though. Maybe if they had a home playoff game, they would have done it, but
yeah,
didn't end up happening. So that was that. Looking over here, Big Lou had a few predictions. He had a Brian Flores would stay with the team. He said the Vikings would have a 10-point lead and lose any game. Well, they had some sad losses, but not that. He also said the Vikings would play in the Super Bowl. Womp, womp. And Darnold would win Comeback Player of the Year MVP. He had a chance till the end of the season when he blew it. Matt said the Chiefs would represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. He got that right. Big Lou would have under 50%. He did. Great prediction by Matt there. Carson Beck would be the first quarterback taken. He ended up staying in college. So
You made that one a long time ago.
He also had a couple other game-related ones. Kirk would be comeback player of the year. Well, he got benched, so no. And he also said Malik Neighbors would win offensive rookie of the year. He was in the finalists. That was before the draft last year. So pretty impressive prediction, even despite the fact it didn't happen. It was a good one. And yeah, also for anyone wondering, he has a prediction Aaron Rodgers will play next year. He has expressed interest. I guess it's up to you as well, but I thought it would be the most fair to take this off the board when he signs with a team.
Yeah.
Because for all we know, he could just not sign with a team, and then no one wants him. So whenever he signs his next contract, Matt will get that prediction green, but that hasn't happened yet, even despite his interest. And that's your predictions. You can go through whichever ones you want. It's up to you.
I mean, Jaden Daniels won Rookie of the Year. I don't remember when I made this prediction, but I think it was kind of still up in the air. So got that one. Mike Vrabel, next Patriots head coach. That was kind of pretty easy. Rex Ryan, yeah, that one didn't hit. Dan Lanning, Sark, Ryan Day. None of them are NFL head coaches. I can say that they did get some interest. There was some interest there. Brian Flores, I thought would be a head coach for sure. Cycle didn't really work out in his favor, didn't end up getting hired. So yeah.
Definitely huge that Brian Flores is coming back next year. That'll really help.
Huge key.
Also, is your prediction on the bottom, is that an old playoff one?
Which one?
This one?
Oh, why is it on there twice? One of them's red and one of them's just
okay. What I bet happened was that one got copied and pasted on top of another prediction, but I can look back and find what that one was. So we'll be all right. But with that said, here was the final standings for the 2024 season. Everything else that comes off the board will now go into the 2025 season. So all this is about to be changed to 0, and everyone goes back to 0 for 0. I ended up winning with a crazy percentage compared to last year. I had some, I think I had some wild predictions that came true, especially at the beginning of the year. There were some of the most random things came true. I literally said a Vikings player or coach would get arrested in the offseason, and then Jordan Addison got arrested. Like, how random is that? Well, it happened. So
Wes Phillips got arrested too. So we
had multiple cracks at that one. So that was pretty wild. Following me was looks like you got second place. So nice job. Then it was Big Lou. He only had 16 come off the board. He was also gone for the entire summer, so he kind of had a stagnant period during the year. Then it was, how did Sam Z only have 20 come off the board?
He wasn't on at all.
Yeah, good point. He was always working, or I don't know what he was up to.
Guy.
He only had 20 come off. I had almost 3 times the amount of predictions come off than he did. He only had 20, and I had 54, and Matt had 52. So, wow, we're just rifling them in there. But that's the final stats. Sam Z won both last year. This year, I took home the percentage for both of them. So, congrats to us. And yeah, we're going to see who gets it this year. Also, sometimes I kind of forget about this segment that we did. It was a good time. Maybe sometime it'll come back.
Hopefully.
Well, now here we go. So my first prediction of the 2025 season, got a couple outstanding ones, but the first one made in 2025. Also, don't feel good about the Teddy Bridgewater one anymore. I felt the vibes at one point, and I was like, I could feel him coming back. Yeah, probably not anymore, but who knows? First prediction, made him last night, so I don't remember them. Sam Darnold will next play for Vegas or Pittsburgh. I don't know why. I just have a feeling that especially the Raiders could be in the market for him. They expressed interest in Stafford. Obviously, that didn't work out because he ended up getting a restructured deal back with the Rams again. They need a quarterback. They've got, I don't know if they still have him, but they had Aiden O'Connell. and Gardner Minshew. Very mid quarterback room.
Yeah.
Definitely room for improvement. And then Pittsburgh, they're also, I mean, they had Russ, he's at the end of his career.
Yeah.
And then Justin Fields, who's, he's Justin Fields. And we've seen good from him. We've also seen bad from him.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Steelers could be a great team if they improved at the quarterback position. And maybe this could be an opportunity for them to do something like that. So, Vegas or Pittsburgh. I also could see Kirk Cousins playing for not Vegas. I couldn't see Kirk in Vegas, but I could see Kirk in like Cleveland or Pittsburgh.
I think Cleveland makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Well, Stefanski's there, and I bet they worked together when they were in Minnesota.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And Kirk has offsetting language in his contract, which is the same thing Russell Wilson had a year or two ago, which pretty much means the Falcons, in this case, are eating all his money, so he can sign for a league minimum, whatever he wants, with any team he wants. So that's that. We could have opened some Kirk Cousins back with the Vikings rumors, but no. It's over. That ship has sailed. It's done. No, we don't need that again. So
no, not happening.
All right, well, that's the quarterback carousel. Should I just go with all of them?
Sure.
All right, my next prediction, the Vikings will trade back from the 24th pick. Thought about just starting this prediction by saying they will trade, but no, they're going to look for more capital. They currently have, actually, we'll go over here. They've only got 3 picks as of right now in the draft here. They've got a first, 2 fifths, one of them from Cleveland, and they're also projected for a 3rd-round pick because of Kirk Cousins and the compensatory formula. Those will get announced within the next week or two here.
Yep.
So they're expected to have 4. They only have 3 right now. Still not much ammo. Would have been great for a Darnold trade, especially with the Raiders. They got like 10 picks in the draft. Could have got so much out of them. But you can see over here, that's all the picks they traded away. They got rid of 3 of them to Jacksonville, which ended up being for Dallas Turner. And then they gave 2 to Cleveland for they sent him to Cleveland, Zadarius Smith. It's kind of funny seeing Zadarius Smith, man.
Yes.
Everyone was so happy about it, and then
one season.
Bro didn't even last did he last a full season?
Yeah, we traded him in the offseason.
Okay. I'm thinking of Yannick Ngakoue.
He was traded by like week 6.
Bro didn't even make it to the deadline.
Yeah.
That's how dude cooked for like a week, and then I was so hyped for that, and then that did not pan out. So that was that. Okay, back to the predictions. Vikings will trade back. They're going to look for more ammo. I definitely see this happening. Final prediction. Anthony Edwards will receive at least 1 technical foul within the next 4 games. So between now and their game on March 9th, which I believe is on Sunday.
Yeah.
For anyone who doesn't follow Minnesota sports, he's currently got 16 technical fouls on the year, which pretty much means he's kind of a hot-headed player. He's had bad calls and stuff as well. He's got to learn to control his emotions sometimes.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother topic we could get into as well. And he's got 16 on the year, which is most in the NBA by a pretty wide margin. He's the fastest player to reach 16 technical fouls since 2016. So that's kind of that. And so he got a 1-game suspension after his 16th last week, and he was suspended for a game. Now he gets suspended again for every other technical foul he gets. So every even numbered one. So his 18th, 20th, and so forth. And I hate to say it, but he's going to get at least 1 within the next 4 games because he's Anthony Edwards. So, yeah, there we go. All right. Onward.
Tonight, they got the Sixers, so we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. No Joel Embiid, per usual.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Okay, my first pick is the Vikings will draft a defensive lineman with their first selection in the draft. So this could be they trade back or they pick at 24 or whatever. Just their first pick in the draft will be a defensive lineman.
I don't expect this, but I am going to ask, do outside linebackers count as defensive linemen in case that happens?
Yeah. If they're lining up on I agree. If they draft like If they draft like a hybrid linebacker, D lineman, or something like that, we can discuss it. But yeah, I think it's interior defensive line.
Yeah,
All
same.
right. Second is Garrett Bradbury will not be cut by the Vikings. There's some talk about this. I believe they can save some money, but I mean, looking at the center market, even the center draft class isn't great. And the market, I think Drew Dahlman's your best guy, and I really don't even. I mean, maybe he's a little better than Bradbury, but I don't think it's by a substantial amount where you cut Bradbury to bring in Drew Dahlman. Even though I know Vikings fans want Bradbury gone, so I think he'll be back. I have a quarterback carousel prediction here, and that's Aaron Rodgers will sign with the Steelers. The Steelers, they want to contend, they want to compete, and I think they'll be one of the only teams willing to sign him on maybe a 1 or 2 year deal to just kind of have him come in, try and maybe win a couple playoff games or whatever. So I think it's very, very Steelers thing. And then my last one, just for fun, is my alma mater is playing in the high school state tournament. They beat Hill Murray 4-3 in overtime, so they're going to win it all. That's my final prediction.
Nice. Great one. So, yeah, there's our predictions. Matt's currently not on today's episode. He's allegedly doing a test. Even though it's spring break. What are you doing, bro? It's spring break, my guy. Come on. But whatever. So, otherwise, if not for him doing that, I could see him being watching hockey. I'm surprised. Okay, no offense to Matt if you're watching this, but I'm surprised he gets into hockey because he doesn't watch NHL outside of the fact that he's in a fantasy hockey league. and then he gets into the high school tournament, but his alma mater plays in it as well. So
yeah, Cathedral's back.
It's kind of funny watching him.
That's fun. Yeah.
No offense, Matt.
Yeah, single A.
High school hockey is great. So.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. Single A games start tomorrow. I'll probably watch. I'll watch those when I'm home. I'm going to Stillwater plays at 11, and then I'm going to stay for the 3 o'clock game too, which is STA and Shakopee. Oh, he's in the comments.
Sorry, man. Why aren't you hopping on, bro? Come on, defend yourself. Get on here.
Popping for once.
Join the link. And let's duke it out. Oh,
that's funny.
Yes. Well, good luck to Stillwater and Cathedral.
Yeah.
I will definitely be cheering for Cathedral as they're the closest team in proximity to where I'm from. So, but also for Stillwater too, because they got my guy Sam here. So
yes,
that
absolutely.
is excellent.
Yeah. Oh.
Unbelievable, man.
Hey, I'm just saying what I see.
He's telling you how it is.
Fair enough.
Let's be honest, though. Do you have enjoyment in hockey aside from high school and fantasy hockey?
Honestly, working for HP, I've kind of grown a more appreciation toward the sport. I won't lie.
I'm on the same page. I used to prefer basketball over hockey.
I still prefer basketball. I don't.
Yeah.
If Noah Grant's randomly watching this, don't clip this. But no, I don't know what it is. I never really got into hockey, but now recently, I've gained an appreciation. I won't say it's the greatest sport, but
yeah, I was always like, I enjoyed hockey, but over the past 2 years, I'll say, I think since I went to St. Cloud State now, I've really grown appreciation for the sport of hockey. It's just a nice sport. Watching it is nice. Working for it is nice.
I like to see more fights, but you're risking a game suspension if you do that.
It's too bad. But hey, St. Cloud State plays UMD this weekend, and they're big rivals.
Molinar returns.
Yeah, so we could have some fun scrums breaking out. They did last year. I don't know if you watched or were at the game.
I do remember that.
There
Smith
was some chippiness
coming back.
So yeah, that'll definitely be fun. What time does Cathedral play? They play Thursdays.
No, they play tomorrow at 11.
Yeah, they're the first game.
Got it.
Because they're the 2-7 game too for the single A. for single A.
Wait, so when does Stillwater play?
They play 11 on Thursday because they're the
Oh.
7-2-7 game on Thursday.
Gotcha. They're in separate conference. Is
Yep.
it conferences?
Cathedral's single A,
Classes. That's what I meant.
and then Stillwater's double A.
Got it.
SCSU play-by-play guy Jim Erickson will be on the call this weekend.
Yes, he will be. So that'll be definitely exciting to watch. Too bad they don't. It's too bad tomorrow's games or the quarterfinal games aren't televised, or else I'd watch the.
They are.
Game. Wait, it is?
Yes.
Where?
45 TV.
Yeah.
Oh, I Googled it one time and it said the quarterfinal games weren't televised, and I was like, oh.
Women's hockey, for some reason, they don't air quarterfinals.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe that's what I was looking at. Well, I'll be looking for the game tomorrow if it's there.
Yeah, it's on 45 TV. You can watch for free on their website too. You just look it up.
Oh, sweet. I'm going to tune in then. So that's excellent. Larson, you got any thoughts on the Vikings? Sam Darnold draft combine for agency?
I think it was smart not tagging him.
The Jonah Jackson groundbreaking trade that we just had.
What trade?
Oh.
Jonah Jackson got traded to the Bears.
Yeah.
A trade
For
of
a
all
sixth
time.
round pick.
A trade of all time.
How about Deebo Samuel to the Commanders?
Oh, that's actually a good one. That
was
is
a big trade.
W Commanders. Excellent. What's the word I'm looking for? Value.
Yeah. That's
For
kind of a spot where it's
starting very talented dude. He's had issues, but that's really more off the field and being he's a talented player. Great value.
very talented.
That was what, a 5th round pick or something?
Yeah, they took some cap off the 49ers because the 49ers are going to have to pay Purdy here pretty soon. So but yeah, obviously Commanders are kind of have a Super Bowl window here opening up with Jaden Daniels. Obviously they went to the championship game this year. So
if I recall, I think the Commanders had or have like the 3rd most cap space in the league, so they definitely got assets to work with.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
That's good. Matt, how was the test?
It's 2 essay questions I have to answer. Each question needs to be 3 pages for your response.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah. Political science, what can I tell you?
Mm-hmm. If anyone has anything going on, they can hop off because this is just kind of random hour now. But
I gotta hop off.
Oh,
all right.
Yeah, no problem.
Peace.
Take care. We'll see you. Do you see the predictions we made?
I only read the last one.
All right. I'm going to share screen. We're going back to predictions. Also, we closed out wrong one. Nope, still wrong one. This one. Closed out game picks. That was the final standings. Predictions, those were the final standings. So, yeah. We were talking about how I had 54 predictions come off the board in the year. You had 52, and Sam Z only had 20. Big Lou had 16, but he was also gone the entire summer, so he has an excuse. But other Sam, he was always working. He was never around. So, yeah, I said Darnold would play for Pittsburgh or Vegas next. I could totally see that, especially Vegas. But we'll see. I said the Vikings will trade back, and I also said Anthony Edwards will receive at least 1 technical foul within the next 4 games. So between now and next week, if we do it next week, I think it'll happen.
I like your odds.
Yes. I didn't know if 4 was too many games, but originally I was going to do 5, and then I was like, we'll go with 4. But for every other one, he gets a suspension, so they're valuable for sure. I almost had a crazy dunk last night, though. Did you see that?
I know.
That was 2 nights ago.
That was Sunday.
That was pretty wicked. The end of their game in Phoenix. Sam says the Vikings will draft a defensive lineman with their first pick. Edge rushers do count. We did establish. Garrett Bradbury won't be cut. Aaron Rodgers is signing with the Steelers, and Stillwater will win their respective state championship. We also did establish for your prediction, your Aaron Rodgers one, we will take it off the board when he signs a contract with a new team. Because he's declared he wants to play, but for all we know, he could say that and then no team wants him to play, and then he's just kind of out there to fry. So
Yeah.
if you want to dispute that, you can. That's just what we
No.
thought was the most fair, is when he signs his next contract is when
No, that's fair.
is when it officially is counted as correct. So that was that. So there you go. We loved your Big Lou prediction, under 50%. Well, he was actually well under 50. So right on. Any final words of wisdom, or else we can send this one goodbye until next week or whenever the next one is?
Nothing comes to mind.
Excellent. Well, for the handful of viewers, we had viewers popping in and out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Of course, be sure to keep up with all the Vikings news, because this week is going to be a good week of Vikings news. So stay tuned. We'll see you guys again sometime soon, hopefully. And take care. As always, SKOL Vikings.
SKOL Vikings.
See you guys again next time.